Welcome back to We the People. On today's program, we're talking to Councilmember District A, Brenda Stardig, and her upcoming runoff election with Helena Brown. There's one question I wanted to ask you, and it's always been part of my campaigns, and that's about these mobile vendors, restaurant vendors, and how they impact the restaurants within District A.
Well, in District A, the mobile food vendors have been an issue for our constituents for many years. Unfortunately, there are some really good mobile food vendors out there. We've got some great gourmet. It's sort of become a trendy type of situation. But then there's also those that are just not really good neighbors. They basically have set up shop on the corner and they don't move. They don't go to the commissary at night. They don't follow the local health laws, and they're a health issue. And then there's also those that have a track record of actually, illegal activity out of them. And with the experience I have in my community, I've actually run into that. People would be surprised at some point there's drug dealing out of some of them, or there's other illegal activity. And I'm not saying that about all of them, once again, and that's at any business, but there is that issue. And so we just need to hold them accountable for the laws that are in place, the ordinances that are in place, so that it's an equal playing field for the local businesses, the storefronts that have actually, or the brick and mortar restaurants that have invested in our community and that are playing by the rules and can be found and held accountable for the health code.
Well, it's a cash business. They're supposed to move every 24 hours, and yet sometimes you see them there's no wheels on these trailers. Who's out there monitoring this activity for the city?
Well, we have the health department that goes out. We also have neighborhood protection. We have a number of resources, even the DRT officers and the police. But there's a opportunity for citizens to help us, help them, and help the neighborhoods by calling into 311 or going onto the website and reporting the violations or suspected violations, because the activity, there's certain requirements. And in my newsletter that I send out, we highlight every newsletter. We have an ordinance highlighted, and this is one of the ordinances that we definitely highlight and share with our neighbors.
Okay. Well, I have a few more questions for you. Actually, I have 3 final questions, and let's start with the first one here. Why did you vote for the water rate hike?
The water rate increase was to, once again, cover the cost of the service. The chemicals, there had been increases over the years, and there hadn't been anything to accommodate for the actual cost of to provide safe water for our residents in the city of Houston.
Well, 2 years ago when I was running for mayor, I brought this up as a concerned citizen. We were putting a lot of chemicals into our water. And you go to where the problem is, Lake Houston. One of your former District A council members has talked about this many, many years, about dredging Lake Houston because of all the silt that's built up and the bacteria it attracts. And I've seen, I don't know if you had an opportunity to see the chemicals themselves, these big donuts of chemicals that they're dumping out there to treat our water. I know that's in District E, but it's part of the city.
But it also impacts District A, because what happens is during the drought this summer, for example, we had to go to well water temporarily, and you bring the surface water and the well water together, and that's where it basically meets in District A. So that's where we were experiencing a spike in reports of odor and cloudiness and discoloration in our water. So it's very important to me that we have safe drinking water for our constituents and the citizens of Houston.
And how did you solve that problem?
Well, we did. We went and made sure that the water was tested and the quality of the water, and we asked the Public Works Department to follow up for us and provide us with the reports.
Well, it sounds like you were on top of it there. And I guess I hadn't heard that, and now your constituents know what you did there. So that's great. All right, let's go to my second question here. Why did you vote on the drainage fee?
Well, the citizens actually voted for it, and then we were charged with how it was going to be implemented, and we negotiated through that process. Basically, what the result of this is $1.7 billion of debt now being converted to a pay-as-you-go system. We've had the opportunity to negotiate through a lot of the details. was it ugly when we got it? Yes, I can definitely say that. But what I advocated for was that we got to the point what was advertised by the folks that campaigned for it, and that was accomplished by getting a 1,000 square foot exemption for all of our citizens, so that we could bring that price down to where it should be. Now, the part that I'm charged with now as a district council member is to be the champion for my constituents, to make sure we get our fair share of those dollars spent back in our district. And I'm really good at that, and I'm really good at negotiating with my colleagues and the administration to make sure that we get our fair share put back into infrastructure projects. And that's my charge now.
Well, wouldn't be the process of those in District A that paid those water bills, or not the water, but the drainage fee, shouldn't all that money just go right back into District A?
Well, there's an oversight committee that's in place right now that's going through that process about how the priorities are going to be accomplished. And so we're going to be looking at, they're saying the worst will be done first. Well, once again, depending on the type of streets or the type of traffic and the type of drainage issues, there's all sorts of things, depending on the density of the area. There's so many factors involved that they're looking at now. Plus, they've gone with this machine and over the streets and done the assessment. So we're waiting for all those results for the recommendations to come forward so that we can then negotiate further on how it's going to be implemented.
Now, is this fee going to just continue on and on and on, or is there going to be a time where we get caught up?
Well, it's my understanding, according to the what's been presented to us, is that initially, with the way they're calculating it, eventually we'll have more money going into actual CIP projects versus debt and the debt servicing. So they're forecasting that eventually we will be caught up with our infrastructure. As you know, most of our infrastructure is 60, 70 years old, as you probably
Right.
know when you were campaigning.
Right. Well, I have a final question for you.
Sure.
You're the incumbent. And during an election, Helena Brown received 47% of the vote. You received 41. Why do you think there's a runoff?
I think there's a runoff because a lot of folks have busy lives and assumed that we were going to win. And now that that's not the case, like I said, my phone was blowing up the minute the election results came in, and it hasn't stopped ringing. And we've got people out working the neighborhoods, the communities, emails, phone banking, and we have seen the results of that work, and we're moving forward to win this election.
Well, it seems like you've been an open book, so to speak. You've been a business owner. Mm-hmm. You've been involved with the community, and I believe anytime anybody's asked you to check out your background, mm-hmm. you haven't hesitated to provide that information.
Well, absolutely not. There's not any secrets in my world. I don't have as an exciting life as many think, but truly I'm a hard worker, and I think my track record shows by my community service, my background in the financial industry, my real estate background, and I've taken all those skills and put them to work. And my experience in the business environment and working to as I say, those kingdoms that are out there in the city departments and trying to consolidate and standardize and bring efficiencies to the city are going to play out well for our constituents across the entire city.
That's great. One more time, your website.
BrendaStardig.com.
I want to thank you for coming today.
Well, thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure. We haven't had a chance to talk in the last few years that much, but I'm glad you can make it.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Roy.
This is Roy Morales with We the People, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to We the People. I'm Roy Morales. Don't forget, early voting starts November 30th through December 6th, and Election Day is December 10th. I'm Roy Morales from Houston, protecting and defending our Constitution and liberties. God bless Texas, and God bless America.